Hello there, friends. You and I tend to see the world through filters. We see gender, skin color, language, cultural identifiers, sexual orientations, age, dress, family, geography, nation, political affiliation. It sorts us out into tribes and nations and races, many of which are artificial boundaries. So, what filter does God offer us to see the world through? That's what we're going to talk about today on Faith for Times Like These. This is Pastor Dan. Welcome. God seems to have one filter by which we are to view each other through as a primary filter, and that is neighbor. That everyone is our neighbor. Everyone that we see is a child of God. Everyone has a residency in the kingdom of God. So all the many artificial things we have created to sort us into tribes or nations are just human creations. Not intended, not as it should be, but we accept it so easily. We've been trained so well to think like that. The question for us who follow Jesus is, can we acknowledge first that the person that we are seeing, the person that we are next to, is in the first instance, in the deepest sense, in the most profound way possible, is our neighbor, and that we are called to love that person the way we love ourselves, and that the act of loving our neighbor is the other side of loving God. That first, before we acknowledge anything else about our neighbor, we acknowledge that connection. Then, in the second order of things, when we see differences in our neighbor, they can become things of beauty. The differences are important. The differences need to be seen and acknowledged. We need to see these differences as something to learn from. How is it that this person who is my neighbor, who fundamentally belongs to me, who deserves my love, what can I know about their story that's different than my story? What can I learn about them that will show me the image of God that has been endowed uniquely to them? What can I learn from their story that tells me more about how God is at work in this world? So that when we do acknowledge the differences that are between us, they don't divide us. They become either things of beauty or things to learn from. And when you start from this point of view, when you actually view everyone as your neighbor, you have to ask yourself, where is the hate? Where is the violence? And it becomes so apparent that it doesn't belong. I don't know about you, but it's really hard. It's hard to watch the news right now, where on one hand we see people trying very hard to acknowledge their neighbor, to wrestle with difficult issues, to try to understand, to try to learn from. And then there is this other side of the news these days that's violence and hatred and not listening and anger. It just doesn't belong. That finally God says, don't use artificial things to divide yourself, just to make yourself comfortable by belonging to a tribe or a nation. Instead, throw aside all the artificial filters and see one another as neighbors. So that when we disagree, the disagreements will be in service towards creating a better world for everybody. Disagreements then become discussions. Disagreements become a mutual effort to get to a better place. And it all starts by the filter we choose to see one another with. So renounce all the filters that divide and accept the one filter that God has given you, to see one another as beloved children of God, as neighbors, as citizens together in the kingdom of God. Thanks for another day together, brothers and sisters. Have a good one.